What's up guys, SkyKevin here, and today we're going to have a quick video where I show you what I think is the best base design for a Silur base in Last Oasis. I'm going to explain how it's built, some of the strengths and weaknesses, and why I think it's the best design. So, let's get started. This is my Silur base. This base boasts 5 fully protected windmills, 7 different walled-off compartments, a centralized maintenance chest with airlocks, and excavators. I chose this design because it gives the best all-around utility with the most efficient floor plan possible. It allows you to do pretty much anything with this one single base, and offers ample protection throughout, despite being only made of stone. So let's look into the first 2 notable compartments in the base, the Windmill Rooms. These are located on the left and right side of the Silur platform. One of them is 5x2 with 4 tiles high, whereas the other is a 4x2 with 4 tiles high. The 5x2 can store 3 torque windmills, and the 4x2 stores 2 of them. You might ask why I made the second side slightly smaller, so that it only contains the 2 windmills instead of 3, and after all you're only going to look at 1 more row to make it a 5x2. There are 2 reasons for this. Firstly, I found that even 5 torque windmills is more than enough to sustain most things that require torque. Secondly, I wanted to use a few of those extra tiles elsewhere for some of the further protection to the base. In both of these rooms, you have additional storage space for some large chests or other crafting stations if you need to use it for storage. At the end of the hallway, there are 2 exit doors. These are at the end, angled inward, so anyone breaking through the door would only have the line of sight of a few chests. Plus, you have 3 points to exit the base if you're under attack and need a moment to sneak out the back door. This has a few features as well. Firstly, of course, it's an airlock like any other, but it gives access to 3 different rooms, so it acts more or less as a hallway at the same time. The best part of this in particular is that it allows movement to the lower level. Further, it has enough room for a small chest to use as a drop box for 1 or 2 emergency kits. The outside has a platform for the door entrance as well as a platform above that I like to use for excess storage. This is usually basic weapons and crafting stations, or empty boxes that I want to keep in case I need them for another walker. They often get griefed by other players, but I figure I might as well keep them on top just in case the need arises. I like to keep walker climbers all over this as well as the other top 2 towers, so that if I do need to PvP around my base, I have a way to quickly jump from one tower to the next to evade multiple enemies. If you notice the room to the left of the entrance, there's another hallway with some storage and my simple furnace for making ceramics. This also helps lead to the second windmill room. Down below, through the doorway, you can see the main crafting room with every type of station available. I like this design because we have a moderate amount of storage and everything you need to access right there before you. You'll notice I have the advanced furnace in here as well, which I had to extend the ceiling up to take a tile from the second level in order for it to fit. I wanted the crafting room to be centralized in the base, but I also find it's nice to have all my basic resources nearby. So if you look through the compartment in the center of the room, I have the maintenance chest located behind a door with an extra layer of walls completely surrounding it. Even on the inner side, there's an extra wall, so at the very least, any raiders would need to go through at least 2 stone walls to get to the center of the base. I did this because the entire concept of this base is that I can leave it offline, and even if someone does decide to raid it, chances are they won't waste the hellfire arrows to reach the maintenance chest, causing the entire base to decay. At the very most, they will only break into 1 or 2 compartments of the base. Chances are they wouldn't know the exact location of the maintenance chest anyway, so it's very unlikely it would be targeted. With that, we move down to the lowest level of the extended storage room. Now, in this room, it is basically there for long-term storage of random materials and gear. Its layout is similar to any other storage you might find, but the key factor here is the doorway set on the center of the room. This doorway helps to section off into 2 separate compartments, so if anyone did break in to either side, they would still have yet another doorway to get through to completely raid the storage room itself. Lastly, we have the skirt of the base, that with this design reaches down to the ground. This allows me to set up the base in the clay tile or earthwax spot and have a completely enclosed excavator constantly running. This needs to be rebuilt every time I move the base due to the tile cap, as well as the different elevations the base needs to be set down at to completely enclose it. The base takes 900 wood, 319 stone, 13 fiber, and 32 wood shafts to upkeep, which is entirely manageable, especially when I don't usually leave the base unpacked. Still, if I do need to leave it out overnight, it's only a paltry amount of resources necessary. The benefits of this base lie in the compartmentalized aspects of it. In total, there are 7 different areas that would need to be broken into with Hullbreaker or Hellfire arrows. In my opinion, this makes the base much harder to raid than a conventional base for that reason. You can break into the room downstairs, but at most, you'll only get a quarter of the overall resources in the base since they are decentralized in the different areas throughout. This would obviously be amplified if I were to change the wall type to something like ceramics or cement, but you have to keep in mind that will involve the increased upkeep cost as well. Generally, there is nothing of value in the base in the first place, since all that is kept in a walker that sits in the off-map lobby. This base is really only to use raw resources for restocking extra kits and ammunition. There are some weak points in the base that I also want to address. Firstly, the back doors to the Windmill Rooms don't have airlocks, so an offline raid wouldn't be too stretched to blow open those 2 doors without expending much. Additionally, the walker packer I have in this room has poles that stick out underneath the stone wall and can be attacked from the outside. The crafting room itself is a bit of a weak point given its size. I generally like to keep it open so I'm not having to go through a bunch of doors to grab resources from box to box, but this is an area that only takes 1 wall to break into to get to many of the assets inside the main base. Other than that, this personal base design is something that I think most players will want to emulate when it comes to doing something that's formidable from raiding, but also offers all-around utility that can pretty much do anything required from any base in the game. The point of it is that you have all the stations and resources necessary behind stone walls to completely eliminate any kind of griefers. I think there are a few areas that I would improve, however, by expanding the base component and taking out the other section with the 2 torque windmills. It's a lot of wasted space, and generally I find 3000 torque is enough for most things that I'm doing. I would then square off the base more and add 1 or 2 more compartments for additional storage and multiple crafting stations. It would be nice to have an interior access to the skirt for excavators as well as more permanent walls that sit barely above the ground. Another improvement I might consider is a catapult room for sieging any nearby walkers that might be attacking. You can also use this catapult to clear any players that might have snuck in from another room in the base via an airlock or door left open by using a gas bomb. I'd love to hear any other ideas you might have about improvements to a base and what you would do differently. I'm always making more videos like this on Last Oasis and other MMOs, so if you haven't already, subscribe for more of my future videos. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.